What's going on, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by Galadon Gaming. Let me know down in the comments what you think of that new intro from my viewer Lorenzo. We will try it out. In the meantime, let's move on to Clash Royale action. Level 10 players who have surpassed 4,000 trophies in the most recent season. We are going to feature 3 different players from my Full Attack clan who have gotten past the 4,000 trophy mark with very different strategies, which is really cool to see, and none of them using the very typical hog cycle deck that we saw so much right before the balancing, and believe it or not, we are still seeing now after the balancing. The hog, that 6% decrease, I don't think was enough to discourage players from using him, although we are definitely going to be seeing more of a few other units, some of which B-Rabbit here has brought to the party. Yes, he's got the Prince, Dark Prince, Minor combination, a very unusual setup, but B-Rabbit making it work, doing well, countering the Golem here. The Golem getting broken down before it gets to the tower. It's close. It's going to get some damage in, but finally, as that Golem gets wiped out, B-Rabbit has a push of his own. The Miner gets in there, takes down that Musketeer, and if it weren't for that Inferno Tower, B-Rabbit would have had a solid push on the tower, but this time, things getting nullified, and he's going to have to wait again. The only damage coming from the Princess, and she gets one-shotted by the Mini P.E.K.K.A. But this is exactly what I am talking about, diversity. It is good to see a lot of different decks rather than just one meta deck dominating everything. So you've got a variety here in this episode, but I'm also seeing more and more of a variety. If you take a look at TV Royale, you can see a lot of different decks are being used, and yes, even the Mortar and the Expo have staged a little bit of a comeback, although I still feel like they're not going to be that popular, which is probably a good thing. I never wanted to see them come back. I'm just reporting the news. Don't kill the messenger. The Expo and the Mortar definitely on my list of most hated cards, although I'm still not a fan of the Royal Giant, the cannon on wheels. Now, B-Rabbit is facing the Inferno Tower, which I would expect we'll see slightly more of, simply because of a probably very small decrease in the use of Hog Riders and a slight increase in the use of other units like the Golem, like the P.E.K.K.A. of course, and the Royal Giant, all of which are going to trade well for the person with that Inferno Tower. The Hog Rider, not so much. So if the Hog decreases, we definitely shall see the Inferno Tower increase. And speaking of decreases, B-Rabbit decreasing that tower's hit points down to 0, taking the lead with less than 30 seconds remaining over a higher level player. This level 11 player amassing a late push, but it's not going to happen. B-Rabbit is going to hold him off and cross the 4,000 trophy threshold with this win right here. So we see this over and over again, lower level players reaching these really high arenas, whether it be a level 6 player who has reached 3,000, a level 10 player who has reached 4,000, or of course these level 13 players reaching 5,000, but there is always going to be a ceiling, and that is so frustrating to free-to-play players because they hit this roof and they can't get past it. There's no way without gemming that they could ever hope to further progress. So my suggestion to those players is play until you've maxed out your chest slots, play until you've maxed out your crown chest and your gold bonus for the day, and then just work on strategy, friendly battles, and work on tournament level. If you can get to tournament level, which can be done of course without ever using any gems, it's a fantastic opportunity for fame and fortune, especially with all of the tournaments we are seeing lately. I'm hosting a tournament every week, and that right there, the tournament standard, is the saving grace of Clash Royale. You don't have to pay to win. You can dominate these tournaments without ever spending a penny on the game, and that is what I feel like is going to give Clash Royale that longevity that Clash of Clans has enjoyed for so many years, still drawing millions and millions of players every single day. So right now we've got DFAC on the offensive, and again you see a different deck than we saw in the first battle, although not my favorite Royal Giant. I'm not going to complain anymore. Okay, we don't want to make this a complaining episode. It happens. The Royal Giant is in the game. It's just like if you hated the Expo, you hated the Mortar. It's fair. You just have to deal with it. There are great counters for the Royal Giant. Barbarians, Minion Horde, and of course the Inferno Tower like we talked about before. They just take a little bit of finesse. Those defensive towers placed too early, of course the Royal Giant will outrange them. And DFAC, despite being 2 levels lower, has a big lead with about 90 seconds remaining in this battle. A lot of damage on his right tower, elixir pumps on both sides. So here comes another Royal Giant. And okay, just one more quick complaint. It shouldn't be easier to get the second tower than the first. This middle deployment of the Royal Giant goes straight to work on that second tower. So hard to defend. Okay, I'll drop it. I'll move on. The golem on the left tower looks like DFAC suddenly has seen a surprising push down the left lane, and now both of his towers are going to be under 1,000 hit points with less than a minute left. And DFAC going to work on that Illuminati left tower, another Royal Giant from the center, this time frozen, so the Musketeer, the Barbarians get a chance to take that Giant down before he gets another shot on the tower. And watch this big counter push from Black Panther. Both lanes have all sorts of units moving down. Barbarian Musketeer on the right, a bunch of units on the left, and DFAC has not only the regular minions, but the minion horde. Minions all over the place, a whole mess of minions, and the freeze spell goes to waste. The minions got the job done, and the freeze spell is a complete waste of elixir, and that right there could be the game. That additional elixir wasted when it could have been used down one of these lanes for a more solid push is going to change the tide of the battle. DFAC continuing to push with another Royal Giant. Time is going to run out, and that is it. 10 versus 12. DFAC crosses 4,000 trophies. But we do have time for one more, and this time it is Chris FA, a loyal member of FA Full Attack, and Chris quickly becoming known as a giant killer around our clan chat. He posts time and time again these replays of him as a level 10 taking out level 11, level 12, and even level 13 players. I'm kind of glad I don't have to face him out there, because you never know. It is not fun as a maxed out player to lose to a level 10, and Chris has done it more than once. Chris bringing a golem deck, and he's very well practiced at this deck. He's been playing it for a long time, and he definitely has got the golem strategy down to a science. Now, the golem decks, in my opinion, are extremely high risk, high reward. When you are investing 8 elixir into a single unit that really is not going to do anything to stop an offensive push, you've got to have the cojones to get the job done, to be able to counter a push, and specifically to know when it's safe to drop that golem so that you're not going to get wiped out from a push down the other lane. And that's exactly what Chris has done right here. The golem, starting from the very back corner of the playing field, has very slowly worked his way up, and the lightning spell Chris uses so often to accompany that golem takes out that defensive tower that you see time and time again. Doesn't matter if it's a Tesla, an Inferno tower, a cannon, it is going to get nearly one-shotted by the lightning, and that is going to allow that golem to get to the tower almost every time. But again, an 8 elixir golem and a 6 elixir lightning spell, extremely demanding, especially when you notice Chris does not pump. He doesn't bring elixir collectors to the battle, and before you get into double elixir, it is just such a tough play. So congrats to Chris for getting the job done, and again, for surpassing 4,000 trophies as a level 10. And here he goes again from the exact same spot, and that is a sign of confidence. He is behind on hit points. You can see his tower is just about down to 1,000 hit points. His opponent just barely below 2,000, but he's got the confidence that the golem is going to get the job done. And especially now is when the golem starts to shine. It's double elixir time, and get ready for it. The lightning spell is ready. There it goes. The golem redirecting to the tower, and this time it's going to get to that tower as a full-size golem, breaking up all sorts of minions, goblins, converging on that tower, and quickly the tower is just obliterated, giving Chris the 1 crown lead. And with less than 30 seconds remaining, there's really not a lot his opponent can do. And right here, surprisingly, Chris drops the golem down the left lane, and I'm not sure if he was thinking that he might have to go 2-1 because his right tower was damaged, or if he's just looking to dominate, and that is indeed what it turns out is going to happen. Chris just wipes right through that Tesla, right onto the tower, and even with time running out, he grabs a second crown and ends up winning this one 2-0. His opponent dropping the rocket in frustration, can't even get a single tower. So congratulations to anybody who as a level 10 has made it past 4,000, or for that matter, any level player who continues to push up against higher level opponents. It definitely sharpens your skills, and it's oh so rewarding when you take down a player that is 1, 2, or even 3 levels above you. And thank you guys so much for sticking around, spending a few minutes of your day with me. Please do hit that subscribe button, thumbs up, and get ready for the earliest possible update and sneak peek information, daily Clash videos, and I'll see you all back here again tomorrow for more full attacks.
Galadon, I could do that if I wanted to. I just didn't feel like it. That's right. I didn't.